what happened last week, because again, every week is chock full of stuff. So we're adding a brand new segment called Last Week in Comics. We're going to go back in time and talk about some of the cool stuff that came out last week. First up, Jesse, this is a book that you are absolutely loving. Let's get some in-depth spoilers. So going forward, guys, spoilers. We're talking deep with this one because again, you've had a week to read it, and if you haven't read it, then maybe this will tempt you into reading it.
Yes, I believe this Dark Ages #3 is what inspired us to do the whole spoiler review, talk about sort of discussion. Because remember, I said something big happened, and I've never seen it happen before in a comic book. Well, let's talk about it.
Right on.
So, um, sorry, memory lapse. Quicksilver. I teased that Quicksilver was going on a secret mission to infiltrate the bad guys' base. Well, he was captured by the bad guys, and sorry, I think I'm in the way a little bit. If you look down in the far left corner there, there's a little guy. Do you know who that is?
On the left, that is the Purple Man.
And what is his power?
Well, he kind of gets in your head and controls you, makes you do whatever he wants while you are a passenger, basically, in your own body.
So he made Quicksilver go after his friends, go back to Wakanda and take out his friends at super speed and hold nothing back. So we saw Quicksilver going crazy. And you've read this one, right? I'm not
Oh, I
ruining it.
have, yes.
What did you think when you first saw this image of Quicksilver with the purple eyes running towards us, the reader?
I was really thinking that this was going to be the end of Quicksilver. I thought he was going to be fast, but not fast enough, because in this room we've got Spider-Man, we've got Human Torch, we've got Invisible Woman, we've got Black Panther, we've got Shuri, we've got the royal guards, the bodyguards of the king. I really thought that because he's controlled, they're just going to have to put this guy down quick. So I was not expecting what we saw
Nope.
happen. And
Nope.
yeah, just I underestimated how fast Quicksilver was.
What is that, a Koya up top there, or is that just
Yes.
yeah? She no longer in the Dark Ages comic book series. We see Spider-Man trying to take him out, but again, Spider-Man's just a little bit too slow for Quicksilver, and Quicksilver disarms the guard there, and guess what he does with that spear?
Yep. And just keep this in mind. He is moving faster than Johnny Storm can actually flame on. So could you imagine that type of speed? That is just, yeah, that was a real wow moment. And if you can see the horror on his sister's face as she sees him, her brother, that's Sue Storm in the corner,
Yes.
and Johnny is just, he is now impaled and he's dying, and it does look like his power is out of control at this point. Yeah, a very traumatizing and traumatic scene. All the heroes witnessing it, but wow, what a man! You were absolutely right about that. That was a killer moment.
And I didn't grab the images for it, but right after that happened, right after Johnny gets stabbed, Sue Storm's right there, and they uh, Johnny kind of dies right looking at her, and she says, "I there's nothing I can do to save you. You're done." And fortunately, Sue Storm puts up a shield around herself and all the other heroes as he explodes and goes, I guess, supernova and
Supernova. Hmm.
burns everything around him. And there's nothing they can do except look at the pile of ashes that was once Johnny Storm.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah, whew, heart wrenching moment. And yeah, like, but just super well led up to. This is, like I said, this book is pulling no punches back. It is a what if story timeline, so it is self-contained, but you're also going to notice, if you know stuff about the characters, you're going to see how this new world has changed them. So highly recommend it. Dark Ages 1 through 3. We have all of them at the shop. So yeah, you definitely want to pick that up. So next up, we've got another Elseworld book that we want to do a little bit more talking deep dive into. So Jesse, let us go into the DC versus Vampire realm here, and let's go and talk about what we loved about this issue.
So DC versus Vampires #1 set up a main character being the villain. That is one and only Green Lantern. He is in charge of all the superhero vampires. We haven't been introduced to the vamp in charge yet. They keep talking about him. We haven't seen him yet, but Green Lantern's in charge. He's taking out superheroes behind everybody's back. I can't remember the kid's name in the first one that he conjured a blender, put him in a blender, turned it on, and then drank his blood after that.
Yep.
I think it was a Wonder Twin, wasn't it? One of the
Yep.
Wonder Twins. Yeah. So in this issue #2, we see Green Lantern and the one and only Barry Allen Flash, the two buddies, getting together, hanging out. Green Lantern is told by his vampire overlords that Barry Allen cannot live. He is too quick. His metabolism works too quickly. He has one choice, and that's to kill Barry Allen. Because if Barry Allen is turned into a vampire, do you know what will happen?
No.
His metabolism will work too quickly, and he will have to feed on everybody on Earth to satisfy his hunger because he's just so quick. So Green Lantern is in charge of offing him, and he says, "Sorry, Barry, but it's got to be done. You're dead." Neck snapped, on the ground, dead.
Wow.
So those were two wow moments from the past week or two that I wanted to bring up and share. What do you think?
Those were, yeah, definitely moments in comics that make you go, ooh, kind of queasy. I do want to bring up one funny moment from last week, and it's not a book that you would think would have too many funny moments, but I didn't put any pictures of it because it's just kind of hilarious. So if you guys have been following Spawn, you know that there's been some new Spawn books come out, and McFarlane's building this whole universe. So one of the books was Gunslinger Spawn, hit issue #2. And I don't want to spoil anything that happens in it, but there's this great moment where the Gunslinger Spawn is in a house and he sees a toilet. And he's like, "What is this?" And the kid that's with him is like, "It's a toilet. You go to the bathroom." He's like, "I know what it is." He's like, "But why is it in the house?" And the guy's like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Won't it smell if people use it?" And he's like, "Why would you want your house on top of a latrine?" And the kid's explaining to him, "No, you just flush it." And then the Spawn's like, "Well, where does it go? Is the government collecting your poop? Is that what they do?" And I just laughed out loud. And then there's this great panel of the house, and he's got the word flush. So I guess the Spawn just kept flushing the toilet just because.
Just watching.
So I thought, hey, kudos to McFarlane for injecting some humor in a book that was otherwise, immensely violent, with the Gunslinger Spawn killing angels and impaling stuff. So, but yeah, that was a fun moment for last week in comics. So hey, sometimes they're going to be grim, but sometimes they're going to just be poop jokes, and it's pretty funny.